Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way Morning Briefing Live. It's Thursday, the 12th of January, 2023. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 Twitter handle. You know that off by heart by now. And I'm joined today by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW. Good morning, Sean. How you doing?
Not bad, Tony. I've said yesterday on the Twitter, I made the cardinal sin of deleting, accidentally not saving, a piece that I'd written for the website and having to rewrite it. My wife is arguing I've made another cardinal sin, which is shaving and getting my head shaved in the same day. Says I look like my baby daughter now. So there you go.
I'm saying nothing, but it probably ties in nicely with the new sponsor. But there you go. We've got a new deal for you guys. Sean will talk you through that in a minute, but a new offer, as we always have, and if you subscribe to the Celtic Way, you can enjoy 4 months for the grand token of £1. I'll let Sean explain the artwork in a second, but we thank SENECA, who are now sponsoring the morning briefing. We thank them, and the Celtic Way morning briefing is now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, and SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe and offer innovative hair restoration treatments. And you can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description of this video. And I'm not looking at Sean in any forum. But hit the button, guys. New subscription deal. It's £1 for 4 months. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Now, Sean, you can explain the artwork.
Yep, brand spanking new deal. I really like this one, Tony, because any of you that are active on social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, different things like that, you'll probably have heard of Made by Frankie. Her Celtic and football art's really popular, and so with this deal, not only is it £1 for 4 months of full access to the website for all your statistical analysis features, big interviews, all of that, but the first 100 new subscribers to the website get a free limited edition Callum McGregor A3 print that Frankie has made exclusively for us, and you can see a small version of it there. As I say, only 100 available, so don't wait.
Yes, I would grab a piece of that right now, guys, if you haven't already subscribed. If you have subscribed, thanks very much. We always appreciate it. And League Cup semi-final build-up, Sean. It's getting ever closer. Celtic take on Kilmarnock at the weird time of 5:30 on Saturday.
Speaking of weird times, Tony, we were getting a wee bit of jip in the comments there for not being 10 o'clock on the button again. I put a comment in saying it was going to be 10:10 to give us time to get to get our stuff sorted and stuff. Beach Boy saying he's just going to fire in a quick 5k before we start. Pete McGee saying it's time to change the show banner to the morning briefing starts anywhere between 10 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. approximately every morning. I'll take that criticism because sometimes it is 10 past. But I don't think that's a big deal, because as Brian Roberts says, his mammy always used to tell him all good things are worth waiting for.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Brian. We always 10 for 10-ish, somewhere in the middle of that, guys. We try and do that, but these things don't happen by accident. Got to get the artworks up and all the prep done, so we try and give that air of total professionalism, don't we, Sean?
We do. And speaking of professionalism, people are asking where this wardrobe is again, Tony. And Kaisers also says, let's roll the dice and see what's been added to Castle Haggerty today. So can you confirm, is it a turret? Is it the moat still going on? What is it?
Well, the turret has been finished. The moat and the drawbridge are... I saw a delivery of stones and stuff this morning as I was leaving, come to my mother and father's, and that's why there's no wardrobe. I leave real professionals to do their job. I don't. But all I can say is my garden resembles a quagmire, and I've been told that it will be wonderful at the end. There'll be some artificial grass and all sorts. So there you go. As I say, I leave real professionals to do their job. Sorry if you're missing the wardrobe. We'll try, and normal service will resume as soon as possible, but it might be the best part of a couple of weeks. So if you can put up with that, then that's fine. But I mean, my mother and father's box room in their house, just to explain that.
Sorry, I've just saw Charlie McGarvey's comment here after I said about my wife giving me pelters for looking like my baby daughter with a haircut. He says I'm more upset for the baby daughter. Fair enough. Fair enough. Most people would be.
Now, Sean, as we say, there is a game of association football on Saturday evening, 5:30 at Hampden. Two-man job. We'll both be there covering it for the Celtic way. So look out for all the stuff that we'll produce on the day, guys. Always like going to Hampden and doing my bit there and watching Celtic in a big match. Now, Sean, I've written a wee kind of heartstring, tug of the heartstrings League Cup semi-final preview today involving a wonderful quote that I heard and read in the tributes to Gianluca Vialli. There's Sean put the link to the article in the comment section there. You can have a read at that, guys. But go on, Sean. What did Gianluca Vialli say?
All right, you're forcing me to get up here. I said there is no losing in football. There is only winning and learning. And you've made the point quite rightly that it could easily be something that comes out of Ange Postecoglou's mouth. And then you've used that to kind of preview the League Cup semi. We nod to last year. And just, I don't think people underrated because at the time it was quite obvious. Everybody realised. Yeah. You'd drawn the comparisons with the Wim Jansen year as well last year before they won it, that it could be that. It proved to be that. But I think it is still worth mentioning just the difference that League Cup final win made. If not in terms, because obviously the Aberdeen game's the one we always go back to as the kind of turning point of the time where it was kind of, yes, everybody's right behind them now. There's no kind of real doubts now and different things. But getting that trophy on the board early, he said himself it's what he's been there to do, but it will always be a special one. Yeah. I think that if I remember right, you quoted
Pulp.
Do you remember the first time in the aftermath of that?
I didn't.
And I think rightly so, because it was a springboard.
Yes, and so I put a Celtic twist on that quote, but also a nod to the man who said it, the late and great Gianluca Vialli. And I think once you read it, you'll realise the outpouring of love and emotion for someone like Gianluca Vialli over the past few days. I think he was a well-respected and well-loved man in football. And there's an Italian phrase at the end of it, and if you save you from running around trying to find what it means, I'll tell you, it means may God bless you always, Gianluca. So gives you a rough idea of where we're headed with that. But it's a League Cup semi-final preview, Sean. Celtic played Kilmarnock. They beat them last week 2-0. Ange was asked after that, would it have any bearing? He said no. Tend to agree with him. These are one-off cup occasions, and maybe Derek McInnes will try and win it, eh?
He's got to try and win it, but I suppose it depends on the manner in which he tries to win it. I mean, there's a few in the comments already saying he'll try to take it to penalties. He very well might. It's easier said than done, and it's a semi-final. At some point, your fans will expect you to try and win it, especially if Celtic get a goal. But as usual, if Celtic get a goal, you never know. All bets could be off in terms of how many they get, even though it's a Hampden, even though it's a semi. It's a weird one, but Tony, I think having Celtic having just played them in the league with no games or opponents in between makes it an odd situation.
Yeah.
But that said, I do think it'll be a different game. I do think he's right that it will have no bearing the fact that they've just played them. Not only because it's a Hampden and it's a semi-final, but I just think that Ange Postecoglou will rotate as he always does. But I think Kelly will change personnel as well.
Well, we know one player that's going to come in.
Sounds like it.
So he'll be back after a 10-game ban. So Kyle Lafferty will certainly feature at some point against Celtic. But again, I go with your thoughts on that, Sean, that it's not about what Kelly will do, it's about what Celtic will do and what Ange Postecoglou will do to affect the outcome of that game. And yeah, there could well be rotation and players coming in and players dropping out from last week's side. You know what he's like, likes the curveballs. But 5:30, Sean, on a Saturday evening. I'm happy with that.
I mean, I'm happy with it because we're both going to it rather than just you this time. But I mean, it would be nicer if it was an earlier kick-off, I think. But I suppose if you're going just as a fan rather than for your shift, then that means you've got a day before it to enjoy yourself.
Indeed. Now, we've been to Hampden before a couple of times, haven't we? We've enjoyed it. It's nice to have somebody to talk to, Sean.
I'm going to say 50% success rate, though. When we're there together, obviously, because I done the St Johnstone game last year, the James Forrest game, the Jota Rabona game, whatever way you want to put it.
Yes.
And then we both did the final, the Hibs game, which is obviously one for the memory books or the history books, and then the Glasgow Derby in the Scottish Cup, which went extra time, and I'll still contend to this day, despite the narrative after it of masterclasses and stuff from across the road, it was a very, very even game. It was a coin flip, essentially, never mind the refereeing performance. So, 50% when we both go, Tony. Hopefully that edges into the positive on Saturday.
You're a Cameron Carter-Vickers shot off the bar away from getting to that final shot as well, as you say. But there you go. Yes, indeed. So we'll build that up tomorrow, Sean. We'll do the predictions, lineups, all that.
Yes, that might
Young Eden will
be.
be here.
It might be the newsletters for Friday night, because the pressers will be the pressers of the day actually. Well, no, but Wan's Postecoglou will be tomorrow, won't he? So that might be Saturday morning before you see the actual predicted 11s. We'll discuss maybe some of the positions tomorrow on here, and we'll definitely give score predictions again anyway.
As we always do. So that's fair enough. Now the January transfer window is moving on unabated, Sean, and I did a newsletter, and it's on the site today. Picked out some Ange quotes about what he's been saying about the January transfer window. Quite enjoyed doing this because Angisms, as I call them, and he's never short for a word or six, is he? And he's always on the money, to be fair. And yeah, there's the link to that article, and as Sean's just put it in the comment section there.
What stood out to you most when you were doing it, Tony? When you were compiling it, anything stand out to you in particular? Or?
I love the quote about not getting emotionally attached to the players.
Right.
I really did that. That kind of leapt out to me at the time, and it's that kind of deadpan drawl way that he just says it. You know, I lost one of my best players long into management. He had a better offer. I don't fall in love with him, and it's just so real, and it's just something that I guess it's just a kind of shot over the bow to the fans and just say, look, you might have your favourites, but be prepared for the eventuality that they might go. They might give you 6 months, they might give you 6 years, they might give you whatever. So, and I think that he's just a realist, isn't he? He's the eternal realist, and he just has a way of expressing something that nails it. You know, there's no flannel, there's no superfluous nonsense. He just says, look, cuts to the chase. This is how it is. This is the way I'm thinking, i.e. Ange Postecoglou thinks.
Yeah.
But I did like that. And I've liked his take on, speculation. You can't be doing with speculation, and I just focus on the players in front of me, and he tells you these guys are training, they're giving me their everything. If there's a deal to be worked on, I'm sure Michael Nicholson, the player, their agent, and myself will discuss it at the right time. But I can't be bothering myself or weighing myself down with that kind of stuff. I like that too.
Do you buy in with that? What Derek Crawford's comment says here, that he feels that don't get attached was his way of telling fans that some favourites might be moving on. For instance, Georgios Giakoumakis and Josip Juranovic.
Yeah, as I've said before, key thing to Ange Postecoglou, what do? You open them, don't you? He signposts it. He tells you, there's no code there. He didn't name those players specifically, but he did say you have to be agile and, don't fall in love with people. So, I mean, what more do you want him to say? And if it means the likes of Giakoumakis and Juranovic leave the building, then, Celtic are prepared for it. That's the thing. In the past, Celtic weren't prepared for these kind of things. They're now more prepared than they've ever been for these eventualities, which he also said in those quotes as well. So I listen, you listen a lot to what he says, and he speaks sense most of the time.
David Ferguson saying he doesn't think it's narrowed down to just those two players.
No.
I mean, there are other players that could exit, maybe not as popular, certainly Giakoumakis and Juranovic. But Beach Boys is also saying don't get Riley or Jota on the back of strips in the summer. That's all he's saying. He also, Patrick McLaughlin's rightly pointing out, I mentioned this other day as well, he used an example of when he was as a coach, and he lost what he says was his kind of favourite player rather than just his best player, but his favourite player within 2 weeks at his first club, so he doesn't get too attached for that reason. But I think it benefits the club if the manager is slightly detached in terms of making those decisions, because I do agree that in terms of from a fan's point of view, who cares is right. Getting attached to players is what football's all about.
Yes.
And I think, to be fair to Ange Postecoglou, he's not said, in fact, he's actually said the opposite. He says fans can get excited, fans can get attached, fans can do all that, but he's not necessarily going to.
But that's a fan's job, as you've just said there. A fan's job is to get carried away with your team and the players that play for your team and the players that do the business for your team, and you love them for however long they are there. Steve McGraw.
Sorry, that's the one I was going to put up by Steve McGrory. Says he agrees with you, Tony. All the great managers had a ruthless streak about them. Jock Stein, Alex Ferguson, etc. It's all about the club and the team and not individuals. True. I think that's something we can all agree on. It goes back to that plug that we had for the Three Kings and Jock Stein's life and legacy and Johnny Owen yesterday. My mum ended up watching the Three Kings documentary for the first time after us saying that. Obviously, wasn't listening to me at the time, but there we go.
Morning, Steve. How you doing? Yeah, all managers have to be ruthless. There's decisions that are going to be made that are unpopular, but I think Ange's again, he signposted that, and he's told you that after that AGM with the agile on the transfer market, and basically said to you, look, come on, this is, if we want to be a club that's competitive or gets to a certain level, competing in the Champions League, being a competitive team in the Champions League, winning games in the Champions League, then this is the way we have to do our business and have that cycle of 2 to 3 years, buying and selling players, being agile in the market. So again, as I say, road mapping it, and I think the Celtic fans were quite happy about that. I think in the past they've been disappointed when great players have left and they've had nobody to come in and fill that void. I go back to my heart being broken as a 5-year-old when Douglas left, Charlie Nicholas leaving, guys like that first time around, and Brian McClare, players coming and going, and the surprising thing about that, Sean, it was always strikers that got me.
Nah.
When I say that, I was always I played as a forward. Maybe that's what it is. I was always attached to, always emotionally attached to strikers.
I think it's easy for that for the strikers to be naturally the ones that you get attached to, because they're usually the ones winning you games and giving you moments and different things. Obviously, Larson, my age group, that just won't compare. Nobody will compare to him in terms of for my age group. You know what I'm like? I do end up quite having a soft spot for some defenders and stuff. Not just Greg Taylor, obviously, although what you see will be a Dalglish moment if he leaves. But like Jackie McNamara and stuff, I thought he was phenomenal. One of my favourites. And then when he left, especially because I felt it was too early for him to leave at the time.
I like Paul Elliott as well. I like Paul Elliott, and I was distraught when Mark Reaper had to call it a day because I thought he was a wonderful defender. That's definitely left for injury reasons, but I'll quit the game, which was really sad. But
when I was really wee, I suppose going back to strikers, it would be Big Pierre. Pierre Van Hooijdonk. He was my favourite when I was a wee guy, and I'd see. I can't remember what you actually called them, but see the wee figurines with the big heads.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the actual name for them is, but I had hundreds of them, and used to give me balls for them about that. But his was well worn, put it that way.
He was Stars or something with a Z.
I honestly, Starheads, is that it? Starheads.
That might well be,
something like that. I can't remember, but I had hundreds of them. They'll still be kicking about in a box somewhere. But I loved them. I thought they were brilliant.
There you go. But as I say, the transfer window's kind of taken, some twists and turns again, with Giakoumakis being linked with Sampdoria, Sean.
Yeah, by me and Aidan I think it was me and Aidan talked about that a wee bit the other day, in terms of, to me, that is a club, apart from the report that there's like 5 clubs, which is good for Celtic, I think, because it might bump it up a wee bit in terms of fee. But Sampdoria are a club that have previous of spending good money, whereas some of the other clubs, Midtjylland and Urawa Red Diamonds, you were going to be looking for them to break their transfer record, and even then some people were still thinking that's maybe not enough for Celtic, despite the fact that the reports were Celtic are willing to accept between 5 and 6. A club like Sampdoria, you're thinking, right, that's maybe the kind of club that will maybe pay that, or maybe a wee bit more if there's other clubs interested. So I don't mind it. I suppose, what can you say beyond what you said yesterday? Whatever will be, because you need to wait until there's actual offers on the table before the club need to make any sort of decision about it.
Indeed. And also, there's now new speculation about Roma and Josip Juranovic. Seemingly Jose Mourinho has earmarked him. It kind of changes on a hourly basis, always, doesn't it? So again, same situation applies there, doesn't it? With Josip Juranovic. And there is still 19 days to go in the transfer window, so there'll be a lot of to and fro and coming and going. And the Cho situation remains as is. The Celtic have launched the £3 million or tabled a £3 million bid. Players' preference is to play somewhere in Europe. So I've had discussions with the club officials, and we wait to see the outcome of that, Sean.
Aye, I mean, the reports from Italy were that Rick Karstorp, the current kind of right back at Roma, that is not really Mourinho's cup of tea. So he's looking for someone to come in. Again, especially with the Juranovic one, you're not sure how much of this is agent fed, drumming up interest and stuff. I mean, ultimately, if it works out in Celtic's favour, where all this interest that's been drummed up actually results in, for instance, West Ham have been talked about, Man United are now being talked about, Roma. A club with decent enough money and resources comes in and actually pays maybe that wee bit more than what's been talked about just now. Because remember, as much as the last couple of weeks a release clause has been started to be floated about, it wasn't floated about for how long before that, so I'm still not sure if that is the case. It's something that's come up because of the fee being talked about, I think, rather than actually being confirmed that it is the case. So I'll go on the basis that it can go up, and the more interest, same as with Giakoumakis, the more interest that's there, assuming some of it is concrete interest, then the better for Celtic to be able to ask for a wee bit more and a wee bit more.
Yeah. There's been no definitive on the release clause, Sean, has there, really?
So no.
It's been something that came out of left field, and as you say, the man had a contract until, 4 years he had a contract for, didn't he? And it's only in the last couple of months that a release clause has been mentioned. So I'm inclined to agree with you. If that
it would be an odd thing for Celtic to do. I think that's the only thing. It's not something they tend to do, because if you set a cap on what you can receive, essentially, then that sets a maximum.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It caps what you could get, and their whole model is based around getting players. And I know Juranovic wasn't necessarily a young talent, but it was still fairly highly thought of, and it still would put a cap on what you can get for someone. It's just not really the way Celtic have done it. That said, there's always outliers, like the Ryan Christie contract situation expiring midway through a season, all that kind of thing. So I'm not saying it's not the case, just that it doesn't seem like the kind of thing Celtic usually do.
Yes, I agree with that. And I say I'm fairly relaxed about the January window, Sean. I don't know about you. I think the club's in a good position. They're in a good place, and there's some cracking players there. The squad's looking really, strong and healthy. And and if people leave, then so be it. And if it turns out to be the ones that have been targeted for moves and are most likely to go, then that's fine. I'm okay with Juranovic because I think we've got adequate cover there. I would like to see another striker come in anyway, but I think if Giakoumakis goes, then it's imperative we bring in another striker.
Yeah.
So, and I'm quite happy that the business is in the hands of the likes of Michael Nicholson and Ange, and I trust them to do what's right and what's best for Celtic in the remaining 19 days of this window.
I agree with you, Tim. And says we've had better players leave and survive. This won't be any different. True. And that is a sense of perspective that you always need. But I do what you said at the start of that wee bit there, I'm quite relaxed as well, because the only thing I think would truly upset the apple cart is like a massive bid for Carter, Jota, O'Reilly, McGregor. I don't think that will happen. I think you've weathered the storm with McGregor. I think he's now of the age he will retire at Celtic unless he decides to, unless he gets injured, that kind of thing. But with Carter Vickers, as I say, Carter Vickers, Jota, O'Reilly, players of that ilk, that would upset the apple cart somewhat in this window. I think Beach Boys has probably got a point that at some point, maybe this summer, maybe next winter, you're going to have to face up to the fact that teams are really going to want these players. I think this window would be a window too early to really consider it. So that would upset the apple cart. But beyond that, I think, and I'm even including Giakoumakis in this, as much as I like him, as much as I think he brings a lot to the team, I think Tim Anon is right in the sense that it won't be any different. You've lost better players and survived. And I think the way that this squad's shaping up, I'm champing it about to get this depth chart out, but I'm waiting until the end of the window again, because otherwise I'm just changing it every other week when they make a signing or somebody leaves. But the way that this squad is shaping up, certainly from now until the end of the season, if you just take it from then to there rather than looking ahead, which obviously Ange is doing anyway, it just is shaping up really, really well for me, to the extent that, like you, I'm quite calm about it. And as I said, the only thing I think that would upset it is a massive bid for one of your really big players that you're hoping not doesn't go in this window.
you spoke about looking ahead, which is another one of Andy's quotes. He said he's now planning 2 windows ahead.
Yep.
He's looking 2 windows. He said when he first came in, he said he had to build a team because he didn't have a team, and that's why there was a lot of activity. Now he was saying that he's kind of looking 2 windows ahead. So that being the case, he's probably looking at summer targets as well.
It will be, aye.
You know, so that's what I mean. That a proper football club, Sean, properly run and doing the right things and acting like a big club. That's since Ange came in, I think that's exactly what Celtic have been doing, and there's no reason to suggest that they won't do that. Again, players will come and go. Everybody has their price and all that, but at least Celtic are making and taking steps to offset any kind of departures by bringing in people who are better or just as good in those positions. So, and that's what I like, and that's what the manager said he was going to do.
Yep, John Hill coming in saying exactly that.
Yeah.
He's saying Ange's plans in place. If players go, other players come in. That's the difference with Celtic now, the forward planning aspect. I agree with that because for years, Tony, it felt as if there wasn't. And even when it came to the managerial shortlist, and I realise now that it's subsequently been kind of divulged that it really wasn't Dominic Mackay that brought in Ange Postecoglou as much as Peter Lawwell kind of through his links with the City Group and different things with his son. But even that, Dermot Desmond basically said in that interview that he released last year, that rare interview, that for all intents and purposes, it's a scribbled 5-man shortlist in his desk drawer. It wasn't a massive, comprehensive database of potential managerial appointments and coaches that are up and coming and all that. So that did not come across well to me, that part of it. But since Ange has come in and since he's been allowed to kind of flex his muscles, if you want to put it that way, but embed his philosophy that wee bit deeper, not just at a surface level of first team, but a wee bit with the B team in terms of philosophy, and also in the transfer market in terms of maybe the final say, kind of. I know Mark Lawwell's there now, but I almost kind of. Dermot Desmond said he was like the chairman of the board in football matters, but to me it was like almost like a American style head coach, general manager hybrid type thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it quite is that, obviously, but it does have a say, and I think that is the way that it should be run, and that's a healthy way to run it. I've always said Ange Postecoglou is a very good guy to base your kind of structure and philosophy as a club on. The trick is if he was to go for any reason, that it doesn't fall apart because your next appointment is the next guy on that scribbled list and he plays 5-3-2 or something and it's a different thing entirely and you're ripping it all up. It needs now to have a natural chain where whoever comes in can build on that. And I'm not saying he's going, you know what I mean? But that's the thing I would be thinking long term.
I've spoken about that succession planning before, haven't I? Many times on this, and that no use in having Ange just now for it all, as you say, that blueprint to be ripped up when he leaves. This has to continue when the inevitable does happen. That he does leave, but hopefully that won't be for a long time yet, Sean.
No, exactly. That's what I'm at pace to stress it. I'm not saying he's going to Everton or whatever's been bandied about recently, but that's something I've been saying since last year, basically since that Dermot Desmond interview when he said that about being chairman of the board in football matters. That's what sprung out to me as that's all well and good as long as it's fine, then it's fine. But if something else happens and he goes for any reason, it can't be allowed to just crumble after that. But some of the things that they're doing suggest to me that they are kind of putting this in place. And what John Hill says there with the forward planning, that's part of it. That's part of what gives me hope that is what they're doing.
Correct. Here's one for you, Sean. B comes in, says this. Totally agree. The next manager needs source right now, not after Ange eventually goes. Yeah. Something we've spoken about as well at length on here. Since Ange came in and we're doing all these things, we don't want it all to be just dismantled when he leaves. That's the whole point, isn't it, that we're driving at. But as one of the commenters said earlier, we enjoy the moment and we enjoy everybody who's here, manager and the players. And as I say, it's been a long time since I felt relaxed, Sean, about transfer windows when they come and going. And I think everybody was in a state of frenzy in the summer with Jota, weren't they? Every time we looked up, Jota was on his travails, and going on more holidays than Michael Palin. So when he actually signed the deal, there was just an outpouring of mass hysteria and joy. So I think that's the transfer window that's, everybody will remember for a long time as well. Carter Vickers came in too, so
Yep. We had this conversation yesterday, didn't we, Tony? I had I'll
yeah.
put the link in. It was kind of that. Basically, I was triggered. I was triggered by the Michael Beale, what's the accusation, but the comment about how Ange's a good coach, but spends a lot of money, has a lot of money to spend on transfers, all that kind of thing. And I'm just thinking that's a wee bit cheeky. That's not strictly speaking the truth. He might have actually had a bit of an outlay, but overall he's only, well, subsequently, since Alistair Johnston signed, that is where he's actually passed the threshold of having actually spent money. If you know what I mean, like net spend, that's the only bit. So 3.5 windows before he actually spent any money as Celtic manager. And when you think about all the different players that have come in, the players have went out as well. And all right, the Christopher Iron, the Odsonne Edouard and the Ryan Christie sale funded a lot of that. But that's just the way a club living within its own means works.
Yeah.
And he's used that money exceedingly wisely so far. Yes. So to be basically to be sitting 3.5 windows in the situation that we were just talking about, where we feel quite calm about this, even though there's a treble on the table and all that kind of thing. To be sitting there 3.5 windows in, only having spent about 2.5 to 3 million net spend.
Net spend, yeah.
I think that's quite admirable, no? I think that's quite impressive.
I think it's bordering on miraculous, to be fair.
I don't think. Put it that way. I don't think he's particularly lucky in that sense. I think it's been prudent. It's been wise. It's been used well, whatever way you want to put it. But I've put the link to the article in there, just breaking that down. As I say, triggered a wee bit, I suppose, but
now the countdown's on. I forgot also to mention that Celtic are prepared to listen to offers for Stephen Walsh as well, Sean.
Stephen Walsh, yep, by
Walsh.
It's unclear whether it's a loan or a permanent deal. That's what I would ask. I'm assuming loan because he's got a contract until 2025, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, so yes, that he did slip further down the pecking order, didn't he?
He has, yeah. Kobayashi coming in is just
coming in as well, so yeah. So Stephen Welsh could be, to say, either heading out on loan or a permanent transfer somewhere.
The thing is with the contract, Tony, you're as well, I think, unless it's a really good offer, you're as well putting him out on loan, and you might actually multiply that offer if he plays well. Stuart Ross done I think last month at some time, he done a kind of, basically when Kobayashi was going to sign, he says, well, if we're assuming Welsh is going to get put out on loan, where would suit him? So he done a piece proposing 3 teams, not in Scotland, 3 teams that might try and improve his game in terms of coming back and actually trying to play for Celtic, not just going and trying to get him sold. So he proposed 3 teams that play possession-based football and attack most of the time and all that kind of thing. Funnily enough, one of them was actually Monza, who are meant to be interested in Josip Juranovic just now. And proposed them as a potential destination. And obviously, a few European teams have apparently expressed an interest in him, so they obviously like the kind of things that he can bring to the table as a defender. But I don't know. We'll need to wait and see. That's the question I would have, though. Is it permanent or is it loan? Because that changes the dynamics of where you're kind of looking.
Yes, indeed. Now, we'll continue to build up to the League Cup semi-final tomorrow. Young Aidan will also join us, and we'll get all our predicted lineups and predictions et al. But they just direct you to the bottom of the screen, guys. We've got a new deal, and it's a decent deal. It's always a good deal, but a wee bonus for you this time. If you click that subscription button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe, and £1, you can enjoy 4 months of access to everything that's written on the website. But the first 100 new subscribers, as you can see, will receive that limited edition A3 artwork of Callum McGregor made by Frankie, popular Celtic artist. And if you subscribe today and you hit that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And also we say thank you to our sponsors, SENECA, and they sponsor the pod now, the Celtic Way morning briefing, now sponsored by SENECA Medical Group. And SENECA are the #1 hair transplant company in Europe and offer innovative hair restoration treatments. You can find out more about SENECA via the links in the description in this video. We say thank you to them. We appreciate that. But yeah, hit that button, guys, subscribe, and Callum McGregor A3 print could be yours. Can't say better than that, Sean. Pound
No,
for
you
four.
can't. No, another. And well, I would say be quick. Be quick is what I would say, because she's a very, very popular artist, and I'd like to think it was because it was a pound for her site, but I think it might be the artist, Tony. But we'll see.
Whatever it is, just hit the button, guys. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Hope you've enjoyed today. Cheers, Sean. Always enjoy it. Always enjoy the morning briefing. Always enjoy the chat. Thanks for the comments, guys. Have a top Thursday, and we'll do it all again tomorrow. Somewhere between 10, half 10, 10 past 10, Peak Week G. You know the drill.
Cheers, Tony. Cheers, guys.